Welcome back to the channel, where I've flown back to the UK to buy this 2009 Iveco campervan, and this was sold as ready to go, but it's turned into a bit of a nightmare. It's supposed to be fully functional and ready for off-grid van life, and this couldn't be further from the truth. Find out what's wrong with it, why we essentially got ripped off, be that intentionally or unintentionally, and how much it cost us to get it roadworthy. Additionally, there's loads wrong with the internal part of the van. The electrics and the solar setup inside are not working as they're supposed to. So all in all, it's been a complete nightmare and a very costly one at that. More importantly, can we make it back to Portugal? Keep watching and find out. Morning. So it's van day today. So leaving several days late after the nightmare of getting the van repaired. So thinking we bought a tip-top van, albeit second-hand, but according to the seller it was ready to go, and the reality was it was not. It required a great deal of work. So some of it was fair enough work, had a service, needed some new tyres, although all 6 of the tyres were supposed to be new. 3 of them needed replacing, so it was an additional cost, but the flywheel was faulty and was knocking and had caused the clutch to burn out, so an unnecessary expense, one that we weren't expecting, very expensive, and it also needed some other bits and pieces doing as well, so it delayed us leaving. So we're now leaving later on today, but we're packing the van and we're really short of time, having had the van in the garage for such a long time. It's delayed us packing, so anyway, we've got to get the van packed, and then later on we'll be on the Eurotunnel. Just under 3 hours from my mum's house where we've been parked up to get to the Eurotunnel, and as always, as you can see from the traffic here, the M25 and the M20 traffic is awful. I'm so looking forward to being on the rural roads of France, hopefully a little bit later on this afternoon. We arrived late to the Eurotunnel due to the joyous traffic, but our crossing was delayed by an hour and a half anyway, so it made no odds being so late. We made our way onto the Eurostar, ready to cross. And just like that, 35 minutes later, we're in France. And the great thing about the Eurotunnel, apart from the speed that you can get from England to France, is that while you're crossing, you can walk around your van or even get out of your van. But in our case, we got out of our seats and made ourselves a sarnie, which was lovely. So 35 minutes later, we're in France. We decided to go 30 minutes away from Calais to get away from Calais itself and more into rural France. So we looked for a farm park up, which is about half an hour away from the Eurotunnel, and we find ourselves on a medieval farm. And the beauty about France is, apart from so many free airs and park ups, there's also lots of very well priced farm park ups with some beautiful views, and only €10 to park up, including your electricity to plug in for your campervan. So I'm at our first park up in France, about half an hour from Calais, and the van's not good, so it's a bit of a disaster all round this van. So after our massive bill to get it roadworthy, we got into France, and basically the drive to the Eurotunnel, there was a noise, which was a squeak. Didn't sound like it was anything too bad to start with, but it got louder and louder. By the time we got off the Eurotunnel, it was super loud, and when I brake, there's a crunching sound, so I presume it's a problem with the front calipers or the pad, despite having a service. So we've got to go off and find a garage now and see what the problem is. And then also, to add insult to injury, trying to relax as we parked up, still annoyed with the van and its vast expense, and yet another garage visit. We'd been driving for 4 hours yesterday, and we'd been plugged in on shore power. For those of you not in campervans or motorhomes or living in a van, shore power is when you plug in your van's solar system into the mains and charge it up from the mains. So we plugged into shore power in the mains for a day, and everything looked very well charged. We then drove on the motorway for 4 hours, and the van has a battery to battery charger, which means that as it drives, any spare electricity made by the alternator in the van is sent to the solar batteries and also held. So we were at 100% and fully charged. We parked, and as the sun went down, we went from high voltage, full power, to nothing at all, not even enough to charge my phone. So that basically means that, as well as all the other problems, that the van's batteries are buggered, to put it politely, so they're not holding power. Otherwise, after being plugged in on the shore power and driving for such a long time, should have had power at least overnight, if not for several days worth of power. So yeah, complete rubbish. So then no lights for cooking, couldn't charge the phone, as I said. So obviously when we get driving today, we'll be able to charge back up again. But what a pain in the arse. So that means that we either have to be in the dark every night on our way back to Portugal, or we have to go to campsites or an air that we can plug in to the mains. Could have plugged in last night, however we don't have a French adapter. We've only got a universal shore power lead, so I should have remembered that. In France you need a 2-pin shore power or a mains lead at a lot of park ups, so more hassle. So yeah, bit pissed off really, but we'll make the most of it. And you can see behind me there's a lovely medieval building, looks like some sort of kind of entrance to a once majestic manor house. Beautiful, now being used as a farm. But absolutely wonderful. So onwards to the garage, I guess. First day on the beast. So I went to 2 garages this morning, it's a Saturday, to see what was open, and the first garage, which was supposed to be open till 12, had no mechanic. The second garage, which was supposed to be open all day, had nobody at all. So I decided that, as it seemed to be brake related and all the other brakes are brand new, that I would drive slowly, and then if I broke down I could call the RAC. Whether I just stopped at an air on the side of the A28 to go to the toilet, and I checked the tyres, had a look at the brakes, and actually what it was is the garage that had changed the tyre, not tighten up all the nuts. Motorway, and we're heading to our evening park up. So now that I've fixed the wheel, an uneventful and good day. Got quite a lot of mileage done. So we're in a little village called Court, and we're just going to stay on a Municipal air next to the town hall. So I'll show you around that later. So yeah, knackered now. It was a long day. Beautiful air, and yet another one to say, why can't they do this in England? So this is free parking, free electric and free facilities right by the river next to the town hall. And if you speak to the locals, they would say it's so that you bring people into their village or town, go and look at the church and the beautiful old buildings, maybe buy yourself a cake or some bread at the local patisserie, and it's a win-win. Come on England, catch up and get a lot more free airs with free facilities for those of us that like to roam. So Rose is cooking dinner tonight, which is a bonus as well. So I'm going to put my feet up after quite a long day. So we've got 17, nearly 18 hours to go till we're back at Portugal. So I'll see you a bit later with more footage as we head towards Spain. So that's the town hall, and you can see the beast just in there. And then down here is the river. Done. Went to the supermarket, got some water, all the exciting stuff, and now we're back on the road on day 3. We stopped off on the way and had a look at this lovely chateau, which was just luck because I pulled over to set the sat nav, and we had a little walk. Very nice. So yeah, we're heading off. We're going to do a few little excursions today. We're going to stop at the woods in a bit, have a little walk. We're going to go and have a look at some Roman ruins. Slow progress, lunchtime now, and I've only done about 40 minutes driving. So off into the middle of nowhere, single track lane, and lots of uphill and windy roads. So it's definitely putting my van driving to the challenge. The van seems to handle it all right uphill. Do need to stop and get petrol in a bit as well, so stopping for a walk in a minute. Come on girl, you can do it, pedal, pedal, pedal. So we haven't got any dogs with us. So that's it, quick stop to look at those lovely rocks. Kind of almost like the rocks we've got on the wildlands, but nice. And a nice walk here as well. Great to be in the woods, surrounded by trees, ever so humid. But this is the Dolmens, worth a visit. Morning. So we're at a camping car stop. So we joined the camping car park club last night, and that's because we wanted somewhere fairly cheap to stay, but they had electricity. We couldn't find anywhere with free electricity last night, which is always disappointing for us so-called freeloaders. So we joined the camping car park club. 15 euros, €5 for the card, and includes all facilities and the electricity. A nice park up off the beaten track right next to a lake, which is very pretty, and it's like a lovely day, although it is only 8 o'clock in the morning. Nice breeze, sunny. Yesterday was very, very humid, which you're experiencing in England and of course Spain and Portugal too, and many other countries across the EU. So rather toasty. So what are we up to today? So today I want to do lots of driving today and might go on the toll roads to kind of speed up a bit. We're doing very well. We're about a third of the way through, so I think we've got about 13 to 14 hours left. But the new van is pretty slow. Top speed is 62 on the limiter. It's quite nice. But in the sub we would go up to 80 when we were on the toll roads, obviously a lot quicker. We spent a lot of time yesterday on the windy roads, so might try and avoid those again today. But when you're in the sort of farming part of France, there's a lot of roundabouts, a lot of pedestrian crossings, lots of little lovely villages to look at, but very, very slow driving. So let's see how we get on. Just left the campsite, which I didn't film because it was raining, and can you believe it, we're off to the beach, but it's raining, or it was raining earlier. So I've just been to fill up, so that's our third lot of diesel or petrol, and that was 108.50, so that's the third time we've filled up. So originally when I calculated the costs of buying the van, I looked at the mileage and I looked at the average amount of gallons or litres that the van would take, and I worked out it
in 200 metres at the roundabout, take the first exit onto D652.
Thanks Google. And I worked out that it would cost £278, so just over 300 euros. We're actually 3/5 of the way, but we've already done about 300 euros, so we're over budget I think, but the van is quite slow and a bit of a Bertha, so she's top speed is 62 on the limiter, and she's obviously a big girl as well, being a twin axle 4-wheel drive. So we're just off to the beach, and then we're off to one of the largest Leclercs in France before we leave France. So I'll see you at the beach. What's the snacks? All the important things. First wild park up in the new van. We're now in Spain as well, which I hadn't even noticed, and we're in the Pyrenees, at the topish of the coastal end. We got here via a toll road. We cheated, got fed up of the traffic in the city, so now it's the quiet of the hills. Anyway, first wild park up, so quite nice. There's quite a lot of vans here already parked up doing the same as us, and then tomorrow we'll head through the centre of Spain and onwards to the wildlands. Morning from the Pyrenees. So a nice quiet evening here in this picnic area. So next, onwards into the Pyrenees in Spain. Just an hour and a bit to go, and we're about to enter Portugal. Exciting. Are you bracing yourself, Rose? We're nearly home. Back to the wildlands.
All in one piece.
All in one piece. So it was a good journey in the end, really enjoyable. Rosie had a great time too, and we settled back into van life fairly quickly. It's a little bit concerning about some of the things that were wrong with the van, so we basically ended up, as mentioned previously in the video, we had no electricity at night unless we went to a campsite or somewhere that we could plug in the electricity to keep us powered up. So basically the 3 batteries that came with the van, which was supposed to be in fully working order, are completely shot and need replacing. They're not holding the charge at all, so they've got to come out. So that's about £700 to £900 I think I calculated to replace those.
Right, for 3 AGM batteries, yeah.
Yep.
And what else?
What else was wrong with the van? So the more we drove the van, the more we discovered. So most of the plug sockets don't work, including all of the plug sockets in the front of the van. So we had to get an extension lead to run it from the one plug socket at the back. So I don't know what the problem is with the ones at the front. Also on the single seat by the passenger side, the plugs are pushed into the walls and the wiring is all bare, so maybe that's why the sockets are not working. So that's a bit of a fire risk. The main cost was the clutch and the flywheel, which in the eBay advert was stated as being brand new. They were in fact fairly new according to our garage who assessed them, but the flywheel was rusted, pitted and faultily fitted, so it was rattling, which is what the noise I heard was when I first started to drive the van, and that caused the clutch to burn out. So it's £1,400 to replace the clutch and flywheel. Plus the van was also advertised as having 6 new tyres. Only had 3, so a little porky there from Tim. So not a major big deal, but an extra £280 for 3 wheels that we weren't expecting to have to replace the tyres on. So all in all, based on the inaccuracy of the description from the seller, his inability to take any accountability whatsoever, we paid out about £2.5 grand to get the van roadworthy, which is what he stated it was roadworthy, and it was not. So a little bit miffed with Tim there, and no integrity from him whatsoever to help or take any ownership for that. He was not interested at all.
Yeah, I think he said that you'd bought it. It was sold as seen, which is a lovely little phrase that lots of people like to use. Yep. And it's like if I look at the van and I go, yeah, that looks good, and you took it for your 10-minute test drive, so you know that it actually drove. That doesn't mean that you know that it's in full working order, or that it's not going to need £2.5 grand's worth of repairs when you take it to the garage and they say, yeah, don't drive it like that. We have to do this stuff first. So sold as seen is meaningless, really. And
also the sold as seen is an old-fashioned statement that people used to hide behind, particularly dishonest people, and it's no longer the case in law on private sales of vehicles. Has to be, as well as can be sold as seen, but on top of that has to be as described and fit for the purpose. So this van was described both verbally and in writing from the seller as ready to go, with a full service, a full MOT, brand new tyres, new clutch, new flywheel, and so on and so forth. Fit for the purpose was he was aware that it was going to Portugal. He said it was good for 25,000 miles and there was nothing that needed doing. But as I previously just said, 2.5 grand's worth of work needed doing, so it wasn't fit for the purpose, and sold as seen is basically just rubbish, really. So really the seller should have either refunded that 2.5 grand, or at the very worst made some kind of nice gesture and been willing to discuss it, but he just wasn't interested. He's just one of those people, really.
But that aside,
yep,
I think actually the van is it's a really good starting point. It looks really good. It's I like the size of it. I like the fact that it's got those double wheels, double axle.
Yep.
Yeah, at the back, so it's got lots of oomph. It's bigger than the sub slightly. I think the seating configuration inside is really cool and gives us a lot more room and personal space than we had in the sub. Of course, we haven't moved the cats and the dogs in there yet, so that'll take a bit of room.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to getting my hands into the electrical system and having a look at that and seeing if we can fix the plugs and so on. But it looks quite well set up. I'm looking forward to seeing the solar panels. I mean, it's a good starting point, isn't it?
It is, yeah,
We're looking
yeah.
forward to, and it's some of it's cosmetic that we want to do. We want to change the colour of the outside, the colour of the inside, move some stuff around, make a bit more storage in there because we tend to have a lot of stuff to take with us when we travel.
Yeah.
This was kind of designed originally for going a short distance to a campsite and then having a party for a week or so and then going back home again. Whereas we want to be able to take it further. We want to be able to go a little bit off grid or travel for a month and a half if we're lucky. 6 weeks of getting a land sitter and travelling, so we just need a bit more storage in there. But it's exciting, isn't it?
It is, yeah, you're definitely right. I mean, it was the thing about the extra costs was it was unexpected.
Yeah.
And it was also the seller's attitude that made it all a bit sour. So what was going to be really exciting, it was like a road trip for Rosie and I. We had a new van, we hadn't had a van for 2 years, all very exciting. And the seller's attitude and the cost really kind of soured all of that. But once you come out the other side of that, as Missy says, it's a really nice van, I think. We've done all the work, there's nothing else that can go wrong with it in the short term.
Don't say that.
No, well, there isn't, no. I mean, the engine is, the garage said the engine was sound. Now that we've done all the work, it got us here, no problems at all. So now what we've got to do is correct some of the other things that are wrong with the build, either from the build itself or to our personal taste. First one of which is, you'll remember while we were driving, the terrible fitting of the water tanks on the back, which was so low, literally 3 inches off the ground, hanging at an angle bizarrely, so poorly fitted and not safely fitted. So I was actually worried they were going to drop off on the motorway, so I stopped every half an hour to hour to double check that they were still sound. And as soon as we got on our tracks, that was it, game over. They knocked a stone. They're hanging off now, so we can't drive it again, so I'm going to whip that off now and then we'll get ourselves a new water tank in the next week or two and get that fitted.
Yeah.
So yeah, we made it back.
Yeah.
All ended well. Lots of exciting stuff to do now, so get her ready for longer trips and make her ours, decorate, build some nicer cupboards inside. It's all exciting.
Rose is already planning her next trip down to, she wants to go down to the Algarve while we still got a bit of warmth, but not while it's this crazy hot. So we've got about a month, maybe 6 weeks to do the work that we need to do so that it's ready to go. New batteries, new water tank.
And that's a good point. As with all things positive on the wildlands and manifesting good things, we've got a battery sponsorship to replace the batteries in here with a much bigger lithium battery. So we'll tell you all about that in our next video. That's very exciting.
It is.
And that means we don't have to find the £700 to £900 to get a new battery.
Couldn't have done that anyway.
Couldn't have done that because we're completely brassic now, having repaired the engine. So if you haven't already and you want to follow our off-grid journey and or our van life journey and what we do to the van, from painting her, doing out the inside, make sure you subscribe. If you've got any suggestions, I'd love to hear from you. Leave us a comment. So thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you very soon, hopefully, with an update on the van and from the wildlands in central Portugal.
We'll see you again soon. Bye.